Hello, folks. Loman02 here with Cube Draft number 20-something. Alright, so, the obvious pick here is Mox Sapphire, but let's look through the rest of the pack. A good speculative pick would be Emrakul, because Emrakul, she is probably one of the best combo creatures. And actually, I frankly could see speculating on it over Mox Sapphire. I think it's wrong, but I could see doing it if you really wanted to play Emrakul, like an Oath deck, a Sneak and Show deck, whatever, channel. If you wanted to spec on Emrakul, I don't think I'd fault you. So if Mox Sapphire wasn't in the pack, I think the pick would be between Emrakul and Volcanic Island. I could also see a small argument for Coalition Relic because it fixes for any deck. I mean, you can play like 5-color Mishmash and it just makes it work if you have that card. But I think I would go for Volk before I would go for Coalition Relic, just because I think the duels are very high pickups in this format. But a Mox is a Mox is a Mox, and I'm going to pick it up. Despite the Timmy side of me wanting to pick up the Emrakul because I think it would just be fun to play. But I think the Mox is correct here. Okie doke. Let's look at this pack. So there's a Remand, which is just a fine kind of openish pick. You can play it in a lot of decks that just run blue, and I kind of want to run blue if I'm playing a Mox Sapphire, but I don't have to. I can also take Umezawa's Jitte and see if I can possibly wield a Stoneforge Mystic, because Umezawa's Jitte is just a powerful magic card. Azorius Signet is a decent open pick as well. It's just Artifact Ramp, but I tend to dislike the ramp to nowhere artifact decks. I think they're very powerful, so don't get me wrong when I say I don't care for them. I think they're very powerful, and when you have the right draw, they just win games very easily. But I also think they're kind of lackluster as far as gameplay perspective, so I just don't have fun playing them. I'm not saying they're not good, but I just don't enjoy playing them. So, here, we can take the Remand, which is kind of a medium counter, but it's decent. Or we can take Umezawa's Jitte, which I'm kind of enticed to take, because I think Jit is just very good. And it can go into a wide range of decks. You haven't lived until you put a Batterskull and a Jit on a True Name Nemesis. I don't know if that's the thing we'll be doing. I can see Remand being more correct, or Signet, but I think I like Jit. Alright, Elspeth Nighterant and True Name Nemesis. And Library of Alexandria. I actually think Library of Alexandria is a bit overrated in the cube. And I'm kind of inclined to take True Name Nemesis, or I could take Elspeth Nighterant and go into my standard deck. But I kind of want to... Well, I could also take Gristlebrand, which is just a beast. Just a huge card that just annihilates people. I think I like Elspeth Nighterant here. It's just a very good card. Alright, what is there in this pack? There's not really much of anything. So I'm going to take Verdant Catacombs here. And just stay a little more open. I mean, like, Elspeth does direct me kind of into, like, the White Weenie strategy. A little bit. And I do that an awful lot, but I do think that given there was Nadanto and Elspeth in that pack, it's worth consideration. I think it's just open right now, right? Then you see a Selfless Spirit here, which is just a great card in that deck. I mean, it's wrath-proofing, it's a flyer, it holds Jit. There's Blink of an Eye, but that doesn't really compare to just having a threat. Ancestral Vision is just kind of weak. Skull Clamp goes in certain decks. I think it actually goes in green decks after they've already hit their ramp and they just need to draw cards. I don't think it goes into white decks. Alright, Stud of War, Mana Tithe, and Arid Mesa. There's also a bunch of dual lands, or not dual lands, but fetch lands in this pack that have not gotten taken. So, that's interesting. I'm going to take Stud of War here over Mana Tithe. I think Mana Tithe is a fine card, but I'm not going to take a Mana Tithe over a threat. I would rather have threats. I mean, the answer cards do tend to be harder to get. Specific answers in the format tend to be harder to get, because, I mean, there's only one white counter, or there's only one counter that is white. Correct, at least in this format. Alright, there's Legion's Landing, there's Winter Orb, and there's Banishing Light. Crazy as it sounds, I do think Banishing Light and Winter Orb are both more powerful cards than Legion's Landing, but because of the deck that I'm drafting and the desire to have 1-drops for Umezawa's Jit to lock onto, just any body will do, I think I'm going to take the Legion's Landing. I actually have flipped this card multiple times in Cube, and I have actually activated it one time in Cube. And it was not great, but it was not horrible either. And I think it ramped me into an Armageddon. So I'd have to burn another land. I just got to burn my free land that I got off the enchantment that gave me a 1/1 that, probably blocked or traded or just suicide attacked into something so something else could get through. I don't know. But it's fine. Like, I think it is better than Banishing Light. Like, the removal you want is generally like, well, Council's Judgment's very good, but it's kind of expensive. Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares. The one that no one rates, I think, at the level it should be rated at, and I play in Control or I'll play in Aggro, but I think it tends to be best in Aggro, is Unexpectedly Absent. That card is a boss. Like, it's Memory Lapse. It's straight up, actually, so correction, there are 2 counterspells in white. There is Mana Tithe, and then there is Unexpectedly Absent. Because that card is essentially Memory Lapse. And Memory Lapse, for some reason, is no longer in the cube, but I think the card is stellar. All right, I'm going to pick up Mutavault. I could take the sort of War and Peace and hope to wheel the Stoneforge Mystic, but I don't think Stoneforge will wheel. I think someone will pick that up, just because. I mean, it's a good card, and they'll probably try to spec on getting a Batterskull or something like that. Batterskull is a card this deck would not want to see in play. And Mutavault goes just fine in this. The Verdant I'm not going to take out for now, because if I do get the Godless Shrine back that I believe we saw in Pack 2 or 3, I will spec on it. Okay, pretty easy pickup here. It is not Brightling. This is a white card, but this card is... I actually played this in a control deck, or I sideboarded it in a control deck. It's a pretty easy Revoker. Revoker is just a taxi interactive card that, tends to stop busted stuff, like can stop Grim Monoliths, can stop Soul Rings, can stop a litany of different nonsense from not going your way. All right, I don't think this pack had much for us to wheel, so I'm going to pick up Elspeth. I'm trying to remember. No, that pack had nothing for us to wheel for an aggro deck. This pack did. It was the Adato Vanguard, which, came around. No surprise to anyone. It's a kind of... I actually talked a lot of crap on this card when I first started playing the Cube. I think it was the last iteration of it. And then I realized that I was taking it pretty highly. Like, I wasn't taking it real highly, but I was taking it, over far better cards just because I wanted to body it, too. So I'm not saying it's great. So this is an interesting pick, rather. Is it Disenchant or Linvala? I never end up playing Linvala, so I'm going to pick up Disenchant as a sideboard option, I think. I never play her. She's too slow. You want her to stop, the green mana dorks, but she really has to cost, 2 mana to do it. I would be fine if she was a 2-1, not flyer. I'm going to take this. That could stop, has the same ability, but was a 2-1 or something like that for 2 mana. Then it would make more sense. It would be a much more playable card, I think. It's just not playable. It's so bad, because, the ramp decks, they do all of their work. If they're on the play, good luck, but, they do all of their work early on. I think we missed a couple picks. I'm trying to remember when we switched over to White Weenie. It could have been how the packs broke, but I think we... Alright, this card can be played in a black-white version of this deck. Alright, so we're prioritizing white cards very highly. I do like Tide Hollow Sculler, but I think its chances of wheeling are pretty high. And I like Collective Brutality, too. The Tide Hollow Sculler probably will come around. I'm going to pick up Land Tax here, just to really set the signal. Okay, well, Hero of Bladehold this deck is not doing. Figure of Destiny goes into the red deck as well, but Hero may come around. And I tend to like Porcelain Legionnaire a little more than Figure of Destiny. And Porcelain Legionnaire goes in more decks, so I think it's probably the right pick up there. And try to wheel one of the other 2 cards, or the Sorcerer's Spyglass, which I will play in this, but if I have a Phyrexian Revoker, I tend to relegate it to the sideboard. And frankly, I haven't been that impressed by the card, to be honest. Alright, Flicker Wisp or Sword, or Flooded Strand, which is also quite nice. I mean, the way dual lands have been going around, Flooded Strand won't because it's a blue fetch, but the way they went around in that first pack, maybe this will come around. The Sword probably will. I mean, it may not. It's a colorless card, so if there's not a pick for someone in that pack, they may just take it. I don't mind Flicker Wisp. Palace Jailer is a big 4 that I'd like to get in this deck. Also Gideon, and obviously Geddon, but Geddons, if they're open, you tend to be able to get, because there's not a lot of decks that want Geddon. I mean, if there's a Wildfire deck that maybe is splashing into white, maybe they could play it, but they'd have to be the guy first picking Moxen and Coalition Relics and all the artifact ramp that they can possibly get their hands on. So I think we'll probably be able to get a shot at it again if we if one is opened. You don't need it, but you definitely, and you never want more than one. I've never ever wanted to play more than one, because I tried it before a long time ago, in some other iterations, and it was just always miserable to have 2. Because they're the worst top deck after you use the first one. The second one is just, you don't need a second Geddon. If the first one doesn't work, you're losing the game anyways. It's just game over. Also, Disenchant tends to not be a card I main deck in this specific style of deck. Alright, well, I really like the Wasteland, and the Silverblade may come around, but I think it's still important that I really stamp my signal down. And, Wasteland's not as good in this format as it is in, Legacy, because it's Cube, and folks are only going to have so many dual lands in it. It's good against, man lands. It's fine against, Tolarian Academy or, Mishra's Workshop, but, it's not the best. Brahma's good, solid, just beater. He's just a big dude that begs an answer. I think he was printed in the same cycle. Alright, there's Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, and Unexpectedly Absent. Let's count here. Alright, so this Garruk will probably get picked up. Una's Prowler maybe for Reanimator. This Ancient Grudge is late. I think, frankly, we're probably going to see come around is probably Search for Tomorrow or Pyretic Ritual. I'd like to get Unexpectedly Absent back, but it'd be nice, but I don't think we will. Because we are lacking in the removal department, but we'll pick some up. I'm not hugely worried about it. This deck tends to win through mass, and if we have like bad removal like Banisher Priest, that's okay too. Banisher Priest good against Show and Tell and Eureka and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not the worst. Okay, well, this is tough for pickup because there's Path to Exile, Leon, and Relic Warder. I think the correct pickup is actually Relic Warder over Path to Exile. This is like one of my least favorite removal spells in white. I'm trying to remember if we've seen Dismember yet. We probably have. I think we have. But I've done so many cubes that sometimes they blend together, guys. And I'm not paying the best attention to these packs. I do like Path, but it's unconditional removal, but it's... I would actually rather have Unexpectedly Absent than that. Alright, well, this is a pretty easy pickup because we are removal light. I'm going to pick up the Oblivion Ring, put it in the sideboard for now, but probably actually play it this time around if I don't get, like, 2 pieces of removal. Like, Banisher Priest and the Unexpectedly Absent would be great, but I don't think we're going to wheel the Unexpectedly Absent, unfortunately, even though it is one of my favorite removal spells for this deck. Our 4s are pretty sick. I mean, I'd like Palace Jailer if it comes around. I don't think it's a very high pickup for some reason in the cube, probably because folks just don't like playing white. Like, you got to give white cards away to make people play them. Like, and oftentimes the cubes, like, the way they wheel, they do. I mean, like, you just wheel all the white cards. Yeah. So we're not looking like we're gonna splash black. I'm trying to remember if the white-black card, the Sculler, came around. Yeah, I don't know if we're back at that pack, our first pack. We may be getting close. There's also a Figure of Destiny we possibly could have wheeled, I think, and then a Hero Bladehold. There's a couple cards we're interested in seeing if they come back around. There may have been a sword, too, like a blue-green sword. Kind of a bad sword. Well, it's not horrible. It's just... It's not optimal at what it does. Alright, Tundra came around? And so did Tide Hollow Sculler. I'll pick up the Sculler. I'm not really sure if I'm playing it yet. I do have land tax. I do have a fetch land for a swamp, but I do not have a scrub land, and I believe Godless Shrine was sucked up in pack 1, if I'm not mistaken. But like I said, I'm not playing these like exceedingly tight right now. I'm kind of playing by wire. If I was playing tight, I think I'd be a little more locked down into what was coming around. But I mean, I'm watching signals. That's why I'm in this deck again. But I'm not memorizing packs like I probably should. Alright, Hero Bladehold came around. Figure did not. Ancient Grudges or Ancient Tombs in this pack, which is a powerful magic card. But I think it's a pretty easy hero, and I'm not really that interested in playing it. Here, do I want to just hate someone out? We'll just take Bonfire or whatever. We'll hate it out. We don't really want to see that card sideboarded against us. I mean, if they miracle it off the top, it's probably just a game win for them. Although now it can't actually deal damage to Planeswalkers, right? Oh, yeah, or that player or that Planeswalker's... Oh, yeah, that's bad. It does still hit Planeswalkers. I wasn't sure if that was just player, because, I mean, the way it was originally worded was player, and they've reworded a lot of these cards. Yeah, sure. I guess, why is this in the cube, guys? I mean, Indestructible is so irrelevant. I just put Oblivion Ring on it, or a Banisher Priest, or some nonsense. It is big, I guess, but that's about it. It's just a big flyer. I've actually never played Archangel Avacyn, and I don't know if she's bad or not. There's like an Angels tribal deck, I think, in this format. So there's like the Baneslayer, which is just, I mean, she's a beautiful card. She was awesome in her time, but she's kind of getting outdated. There's a Lidvala, which I actually had played against me like earlier today, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? Main deck played against me today. It wasn't a sideboard option. And I was just like, well, I guess I lose. Lidvala, jeez. No, I've had some funny drafts. I'm going to be putting a couple more up. I had one where, like, I had a red deck wins deck, and then I had a sideboard option to go into a white weenie deck. Like, and in the last round, the finals, and I lost the finals, unfortunately. It was a very tight game, though. It came down to who pulled lands off the top from an Armageddon pull. Oh, yes, that is so stellar. I really want to get this card back. Like I said, this card goes so late, and it was, like, close between this and Pyretic Ritual, but someone picked up Pyretic Ritual. It was the other card that I expected, but it was close. It was like this or Pyretic Ritual. If someone's on Storm, they'll take Pyretic Ritual, but Pyretic Ritual is just really bad. I mean, maybe someone's playing red and they're just like, oh, it's a red card, and they just clicked on it. But I think we got lucky, because this card is very powerful, guys. Like, it is an exceedingly powerful card. 2 mana, it's a Memory Lapse. That's all it is, a Memory Lapse at the end of the day. Now, it's a little worse than Memory Lapse, because, I mean, some things accrue value. But if you're putting, like Mana Dorks on top of their deck, or, like, Artifact Ramp, it's just so bad for them. They're just, like, losing the draw step on the next turn and losing the mana. It's just very solid. Alright. Oh, we're just opening pack 3. Yikes. Okay, well, this is actually a tougher pickup than you may think, or decision. So Mana Crypt is very powerful, but I tend to think that Mox Pearl is just going to be better in this deck. Now, Mana Crypt, in some cases, is going to be like a god draw because you're just going to have like Elspeth or Gideon on turn 2. But I think I like taking Pearl better because it allows you to 2-spell a little earlier on your curve. So like you can go 2 1-drops or like 1-drop, 2-drop a lot sooner than Crypt is going to allow you to do with the deck. What are some other notables we want to consider? Like Smuggler's Copter would be a nice one to find. Let's say Speak of the Devil. No devil here. All right, there's Crucible and Strip Mine. Recruiter Maywheel, Scrap Heap Scrounger Maywheel. I'm going to take Strip Mine because it's just a very powerful effect. And I'm not light on playables right now. I mean, this deck generally wants to play 16 lands, like 16 land tax deck. But I'm not playable light. Okay. What is there here? Not much for us, huh? Well, I'll pick up Soulfire Grandmaster because it is just a dude that carries Jit, and or possibly any other equipment we may pick up. Equipment has been getting sucked down this draft, though. Someone got Stoneforge, and maybe they just started prioritizing equipment. I don't think Stoneforge needs more than one piece of decent equipment to be good, though. I mean, like 2 is probably ideal, but the swords are just so mana intensive. You really want something. I mean, if I had a sword in this deck, I probably would have taken Crypt actually. And if I had Smuggler's Copter already like in the bag, I may have taken it. But I've actually seen Crypt Wheel, but it's really weird if it does. It's possible there's a lot of control drafters. Someone else is drafting like red deck wins though, because the red cards, the figure got sucked up, and the red cards just have not been flowing. So there are 2 aggro drafters at this table. Our Mother of Runes, pretty easy pickup. Entomb, very powerful. Shadow Flamecaller, not a fan of this card. It wipes the board, is what it does, really. And it can end the game, but it's a 6-drop that ends the game. And there's a bazillion replaceable 6-drops that do a better job of ending the game faster, I think. And there's Geist of St. Traff, which, I mean, I guess we have a Tundra, right? Or did we not pick that up? No, we picked something else up that was more relevant to us. But there was a free Tundra to pick up at one point in time, and we could possibly splash that dude. I have splashed him in White Weenie before. All right, so there's Factory, and there is Blade Splicer. We're at 23 right now with a bunch of lands. I'm going to take Splicer, I guess. I like Factory quite a bit, but I have Mutavault already. And I am actually a little playable short. I mean, despite the fact that I could sideboard in more of my cards. To up playable count, I could put Soulfire Grandmaster in there, just a 2-2. But the ability on it is very underwhelming for this style of deck. It's really more of a Jeskai card. So you like throw Burn at him, gain some life, maybe get the Time Walk combo and just go infinite with it, or go infinite until you mill yourself. It's not looking like we're going to probably play Tide Hollow Skull, or we may. I mean, actually, it's probably fine to play a Swamp in this. I have a Verdant Catacombs to find it, and I have Land Tax to find it. At this point, there's no way I can get Mox Jet, right? So, yeah, I think we go 16 Land Tax. No Geddon either, which is kind of interesting. It may not have been opened, or maybe yet to see it. Because there's 2 Geddons, there's a Ravages and a Geddon, it's very rare that you don't see one of the 2. Especially because I know no one else is in this deck. I mean, the cards have just been wheeling too heavily for Geddon not to be like... And Geddon doesn't go in any other deck. I mean, someone could put it in like a 3-color mid-range deck just as a value Geddon. Like, just, if you positionally get ahead, you just drop it, but... I tend to think Urnum-Geddon style decks, like the old school Urnum-Geddon style decks, they're not really a thing anymore. Like value Geddening and like it's an aggro card, right? It's not really a mid range card anymore. You could use it that way, but it's just I think you will tend to get blown out that way more often than you will if you're playing something like this. And there, Speak of the Devil, and it will arrive, right? I really like Mirren Crusader, but actually it may wheel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, Breeding Pool gets taken. Vivian Reed gets taken. Torrential Geralt probably gets taken. It's going to be Knight of the Autumn, I think, or Mirror Crusader. It's not going to be a Braid. Imperial Right someone will want. Southern Titan someone will take. And then Kadama's Reach. Yeah, I mean, we want our first Geddon, right? Smuggler's Copter over Remorseful Cleric. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Remorseful Cleric may be the wheel. I'm going to pick up Smuggler's Copter. I think it's just a better card. Banisher or Kitchen Finks. Banisher is a less replaceable effect than Finks is. Okie doke. Well, I'll take this card. Lyra. I always call this thing Linvala. The new Linvala. It's Lyra. She's a decent sideboard card against like some mid-range decks or against like maybe green, like fair green. Not rampy green because they'll just overrun you with like a Crater Hoof. Parallax Wave is a 6 sideboard card. Against green, it just owns face. You just drop this thing and like you get one free turn of attacks or 2 free turns of attacks, and it's just game over generally. Or you remove like their big dumb thing they cast all their little dorks and then like win. Parallax Wave very good in certain matchups. I've never started it in Vintage Cube. I'm actually kind of loath to start this card right here. What am I at? 14 creatures with 2 planeswalkers that act as creatures. Well, probably can never beat an Oath. I can bring in Disenchant. I'll bring in Day of Judgment. I could sideboard into a Day of Judgment deck. Highly doubtful, because it is Vintage Cube, and we are probably going to be the most creature-heavy deck that's imaginable in this format. But there is a world in which we could want to side in a Wrath. I have seen White Weenie decks have Wrath of God in their sideboard. It's not the most uncommon thing. Alright, Helix, sure, over, yeah, pretty much nothing else. I could say the Manland, but I'll take the white-red card. Mishra's Factory came around. That's a free pickup right there. That's very nice, actually. I would have assumed the red deck Winds Drafter would have gotten it. There may have been a Char in that pack, though, but like I said, guys, I'm not that locked on. I kind of know what I'm doing. All right, so the dude we wanted did get taken. It was Knight of Autumn. Vivian Reed is actually kind of weird to me because this card's very good in green decks. Gives them some range against like all right, Arella. I've played her in a deck. She is not great for 4, but she's fine. All right, let's see where we stand right now. We may have to cut some cards. 11. I think we're cutting 1. Or we're putting in a. This is a 15 lander. We want 1 swamp. So add basic, 1 swamp, add a deck. We're at 41. This puts us at 17 lands. We can cut 1 plains probably. 16 landers fine. Probably cut Hero Bladehold because I'm not a huge fan of the card. This is 39. So we need 1 more playable. Maybe it is just Hero Bladehold at 16 lands. Played over Palace Jailer, which we did not see in this draft. We have land tax and 1 fetch land to find the swamp. The fetch land is really bad. We're kind of a 15 lander. So if you have the swamp and the fetch land comes up, we can't find the swamp, or we can't find anything with the fetch land, which is kind of bad. I mean, how much is Tide Hollow Sculler worth it to be? Card is very good. Yeah, I think I want to play him. And I think we are a 16 land deck. I mean, especially with 2 like Moxen. Although, like, I think when in doubt, like this probably could be a 15 land deck. But when in doubt, I think it's better to run 1 more. And technically, we are with the Verdant Catacombs because like Verdant Catacombs, 1 has to fetch for only 1 land. So if we draw that 1 land, the Verdant Catacombs does absolutely nothing. All right, so White Weenie guys, here it goes. Yes, I would like to play first. This hand is acceptable. I'm on the play. This is a keep. Turn 2 Adanto into turn 3 Splicer, into turn 4 ideally Umezawa's Jit equip. Noreen Rod. I think I've played this player before. Alright, land go. Alright. Okay. Is Searing Blaze in the cube anymore? If you attack, I will not block you. I'm not taking 4 against a red deck. You get it for your 2. Yep. Plus, I'll probably in response burn this thing down. Should be bad. Be a bad way to lose. Okay. I want to force them to put that mana back into this. Because if they kill my Banisher Priest, I think I'm okay with that. It's just put mana back into it, right? I may even block the Fire Drink Satyr here. Yep, got it. Lose a card, and you have to put mana back into the Figure of Destiny. Seems good to me. And if I get to go, I should turn off auto yields here. If I get another land this next turn, I can just pretty much demolish, right? I get to attack for a little bit here. I mean, Jit is possibly concession worthy. Alright, Umezawa's Jit. Because it's going to at least get the figure. Alright, lose your figure. I could have actually waited till they dump mana that next turn, but like that's just bad, I think, so just attack with it. Yeah, they're just done. If they drew land that turn, I think they were just dead. This is a really hard matchup for red deck wins, I tend to think. Do I want to bring in Lyra Dawnbringer? Like, cut the hero and bring in Lyra? I don't think that's horrible. And like, we cut this, cut this, cut this. Add 2 lands. I don't think we need the hand disruption. Disenchant, is that worth it? Soulfire Grandmaster is probably just better. I mean, it's just a random lifelinker that like just sucks up removal. Parallax Wave's kind of medium. I do like bringing in Lyra though, because it's like it goes over the top of them so well. I mean, we kind of already do go over the top of red deck wins. It's kind of weird to say like White Weenie goes over the top of any deck, but it does just very slightly go over the top of red deck wins. Because most of its creatures are just better, right? Like they have bad creatures like Jackal Pups and stuff like that. And I have Jit, and Jit is just, if they don't have a removal for Jit right away and it gets value, like it tends to be game over. I mean, I got a free card out of it there. I would have had to get another card out of it. And Banisher Priest got a free card, basically. Free card and tempo advantage in that matchup. That's exactly why I did it. I could have played out. Yeah, this is okay. I'm going to keep this. I mean, Goblin Guy turn 1 is kind of rough for this hand, but we have draws. Alright, well, Swift Spear turn 1 is another thing that could happen. Alright, well, land go. I don't have 1 mana removal, but I can unexpectedly absent this thing if they try to cast a bazillion spells. Alright, well, they're just going to try to burn my face off. Nope, you got it. Okay. Hellrider. Okay. Okay, Jackal Pup's irrelevant. No attacks. Alright, there you go. There you go. White Weenie, just a very damn near impossible matchup for Red Deck Wins. Like I was saying, it was really funny because I played the finals where I was on a Red Deck Wins deck and I played against White Weenie, and the first match went exactly as you saw there, just horrific. I was just like, jeez, I can't win this. And so I sideboarded into the White Weenie deck that I just picked up on wheels. Like, so I had like a basically like white deck that splashed 3 red cards. Because there were like 3 cards in my deck that like transcended over. It was like the Porcelain Legionnaire, the Smuggler's Copter, and like a sword. Alright, this hand's acceptable. It does have its... okay, this hand's good, actually. I like this hand quite a bit. They're Necropotents, okay. Alright. That card is unfortunately not in the cube. Is this Red Deck Wins 2? Jesus. Alright. Land. Nope. Flicker Wisp. Alright. Fetch land. A 2-color? Sculler. They don't want to burn this off in response. Otherwise, all right, if they're going to try to do that, it's going to be great for me because they're going to burn it off, and then I'm going to get a free extra card out of it. Get in there, you. You get your card back. Just going to cast an instant on something? You can't cast something now. If it's a card you want to play. Okay, what do you got? Okay, sword. Cool. I kind of want to get an equip out of this thing. Okay. Shit is so savage, right? Okay. You got it, buddy. Okay. Get in there and goozle a card out of me. Okay. What do I want to ditch here? Probably Legion's Landing. Jackal Pup, whatevs. Don't hit a land. Oh, they hit a land. Cool. Good for them. So I can Chandra one of my things. Probably my Silverblade Paladin. Okay. I assume they just blow up Paladin because it's very dangerous right now. Yep. And they get a card, which is probably going to just be the Banisher Priest, I think. Okay. This. Alright, yep, that's good enough. Good enough. Alright, again, I think I'm going to bring in Lyra and sideboard out the hero, because she's just a big dumb thing. Soulfire is probably better than Tidehollow Sculler. That said, we cut these 2 lands, add in 2, planes. I like it, and say go. Gonna be on the draw this game. I don't know how much of a difference it makes. I hope we get to play against non-red deck wins decks. This is a very bad matchup for them. I mean, if you didn't already notice, like they had a pretty good hand, like pretty good start, like Goblin Guy turn 1. I think what you have to do with White Weenie is get away from the death and taxes aspect of it and just go pure beatdown. Alright, this hand is unfortunately unkeepable, so we're going to mull it, but we're on the draw, so it's not a, this is a great hand. Keep. Yeah, I'll top him. Goblin Guide again? Zergo, okay, cool. Gonna burn all my dudes off. That'll get through. You got it, buddy. Get in there, buddy. Make more 1/1s that lifelink and whatnot. What have you got? I'm not going to dump mana into the figure or the Stud of War when they haven't done anything with their mana. Seems really bad to me. Yep. Alright, sword, cool. Alright, equip sword, yep. I will block with one of my vampires. You don't really have good attacks, and you can't block, right? Power 2 or greater, yep. They missed land drop. Draw this again. Concede, probably. Nope, not yet. Yeah, there we go. There's a concession. Well, guys, red deck wins. Getting trounced by weenie decks. White weenie, that is. Not a good matchup for them whatsoever. Hopefully we face something that's not red deck wins, because we face 2 right now. And well, frankly, I mean, I've played a lot of white weenie lately with cube up, and I've done well with it, but there are some matchups that are interesting, and there's that matchup which is not that interesting. Because I mean, it's no fault of my opponents. They have a good deck. It's a very good deck. It's probably actually better than my deck is against combo. And that's the reason why I kind of go into black with mine normally, because you can get some disruptive elements. This deck's not the most disruptive. I mean, it just really has Geddon and like 1 Title Sculler. Doesn't have like card draw and Bob, and then like some discard. Yeah, this hand's acceptable. It's got a turn 1 play, and then it's got some things and some stuff going on. It's kind of short of white mana. I would rather not have the swamp in my opener, but what can you do? Alright, Thoughtseize, Inquisition. Cool. Wonder what it takes here. It's either the Mox or the Jit. The Jit's pretty good. So I don't know. Takes Jit. I like that. I like that line. We have Pearl and what else do we want to draw? Do I want to draw Pearl next turn? Pearl would actually be really good. Okay, Grim Monolith. Well, that card would be good if I had more white mana, but I do not. Okay, a bunch of mana. You know what? I'm gonna attack first. If they have removal and they want to use it on this dude, that's cool. There's no flash creature with 1 blue that I can think of. Alright. Phyrexian Revoker on Grim Monolith. Alright, so if they don't have instant speed removal, this is pretty good because it'll goozle their next turn. Alright, cool. So they're going to have to do it on their turn if they're going to kill it, it looks like. Maybe it's a Wrath. Alright, Sapphire. Cool. Well, not drawn so hot this game. But we did keep a non-double white hand. 5, yeah. Alright, they got something here. Is there a flash? There's a Venser. Venser would be kind of rough. Kill spell. Alright, they're going to dismember one of these two things. That thing. Interesting. Alright, more blue mana. Well, they probably have some sort of counter magic in hand. So this may be just the kiss of death. I'm going to jam this thing out there and see what they do. Yeah, they have a counter spell. Mana drain would be the worst, but I'm going to jam it anyways. Was that a drain? It was a counter spell. That's fine. I don't mind getting it countered. I would rather have that countered than my Gideon, so I'm okay with that. That's not the best, not the worst. Well, what do you got? Discard again? Him? Nope. Phyrexian Arena. That's a dicey one. Have another counter? I think they have land in hand, to be honest. Well, they're dead next turn, so they have to answer this board. And frankly, they may die to Phyrexian Arena, too. And I am unexpectedly absent to get any big threat they may play. I think it's probably a concession. Yeah, there's not a lot of ounce to this. There are some, but, like, upheaval. Like, sideboarding plan. Disenchant? I already have the revoke. I have 2 things to deal with them. I'm just going to rejam it, I think. And I'm kind of glad with how we play that. I mean, like, Hero is much better to get countered than Gideon is. I mean, I guess Hero is basically the same amount of damage. It geometrically increases, though, whereas Gideon does not. But Gideon is just so hard to kill. Like, you can't Wrath him. You know, you have to, like, deal with him independently for a bunch of mana and then deal with the board as well that he leaves behind, which is generally going to be like a couple 2/2s or whatever. Or maybe none, but, like, just the tempo he can accrue is so big because of how many cards it takes to deal with him in the mana. This hand is great. Now, if we get Inquisition, it's a lot worse, but this hand can still cast things and stuff. So, no Inquisition? Sweet. Land tax, go. Pretty common opener from this deck. Him me. Okay, Grim Monolith. Redraw it. Okay, what do they block here? Flip our Legion's Landing. Yep. Okay. Okay. All right, well, guys, pretty easy 6-0 sweep with black, white, death, and taxes. They just missed on lands, and I kind of goozled them hardcore there with the strip mine. But they did keep a greedy hand. They were kind of hoping to win on the back of Liliana. Liliana is bad against White Weenie. Well, correction. Liliana normally, so how she works is against White Weenie is she, basically is Diabolic Edict for 3 and then just dies. The best you can hope from her is like discard 2, because you get 2 cards that way, but you also get 2 of your own cards. So I really don't care for her against White Weenie, so I don't think she's a good rationalization to keep that hand that doesn't have any blue mana but has a bunch of blue cards. It had Grim Monolith, so I mean they could have turboed on a Grave Titan, maybe. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to critique my opponent's deck. Their deck looked pretty sweet. I mean, it had good cards in it. But Liliana is a strong card, but not really great against the attack-based aggro decks. They can make so many creatures, and they can sack really shitty ones, the 1/1 lifelinker from Adanto, the first 4, that I can just make a bazillion more, and sack those to it as well. And it's just, it doesn't. So Liliana's ability to accrue card advantage, and why I think she's kind of in a weird spot against aggro decks, is really predicated upon the ability to accrue synchronous card disadvantage for both players. Like, you're both discarding cards, but you put one on the board. But then the way it recuperates itself is by eating creatures, right? So over time, you eat a bunch of creatures, and then maybe you ultimate it. But I mean, typically speaking, in a regular game, you're not going to ultimate it. You just, plus it a couple times, minus it a couple times, and then eventually it dies to something. But at the end of the day, you got 2 extra cards off of it, and your opponent lost a lot of options. And maybe you did too, but if your deck's built in the right way, it's probably not going to lose options. The issue with a deck with Bribery and 3-color decks that run Liliana is I don't think she's maximized, because oftentimes it's going to hurt you just as much, if not more, against aggressive decks if you're 3-color with a Liliana in your deck. To discard your cards, because you have so many specific answers and threats that require a lot of different conditions to get into play. For instance, Bribery. You need at least 2 lands that produce blue to do that, so you can't really afford to discard your blue lands. And if you discard your Bribery and draw the blue lands, then you just have blue lands and you don't have good spells or gas to play into it. So Liliana is weird in the cube right now. I really don't think she's a high pick right now in the cube, even though I think she's probably the second best Planeswalker ever printed. That's probably debatable. I think Jace is probably the best. I like Liliana probably second. Although I probably play with Elspeth and Gideon, ally of Zendikar, a lot more, at least in recent history. But I think she's in a bad spot, because there's really no black aggro stacks or aggro suicide black deck. So you don't have a bunch of aggressive black creatures, a dark ritual based aggressive deck with Necropotence to recuperate cards or whatever. That plays Dark Confidant, Nantuko Shade, all those kind of cards, Carnophage, whatever. You name it. None of those cards are in cube anymore, because black is kind of turned into a support color. But Liliana is kind of a poor supporting card if she's not in that style of deck, or in a stacks deck, straight up Pox. Is kind of probably where she shines the most. Now you see her in a deck like Jund in Modern, but that deck's kind of designed to do that. And I think the best place for her in cube is probably in a 2 to 3 color mid-range to mid-range aggressive deck with a lot of 2-for-1 cards, because you want to be able to recuperate cards from the ones you're ditching. So it'd be in a deck that wants to discard a land and then play Cole against command the turn after you play Liliana. Which is a card that comes right out of the textbook of Jund. So, really, there's only, I think, one good home for her. You could play her in Blue-Black Reanimator. Blue-Black Reanimator, where she, actively enables that plan, is pretty decent. And then, Jund, I think she's decent in cube. But otherwise, she's not... Her true home, where she shines the most, I don't think exists in cube. Anyways, guys, I just kind of want to talk a quick bit about that card, because, I always want to take it, but I never do in cube, because I just don't think it has a good home right now. I think its home is very specific, and it's kind of hard and random and weird to get that deck. But anyways, another White Weenie draft here. Another quick 6-0 sweep, or 3-0, 6-0 sweep. But we did face 2 easier matchups. Red deck wins is a very easy matchup for White Weenie. It's just, it's horrible for them. There's not... You have to get very lucky to win it. Or the White Weenie player has to, mull the 5 and, get unlucky with their draw steps. Like a lot of things have to go right for you on red deck wins to beat white weenie. And then the last matchup was a blue-black base deck, and like landed decks tend to be really good matchups for weenie because not per se green decks. Green decks, like, it's kind of a different dynamic to it because I mean it really that matchup relies upon like how many flyers do you have, and can you land your Elspeth in time to jump over their massive team of huge dudes to win. But the landed decks, like the control decks of the format, tend to be decent matchups, better than you'd think. Even if they have Wraths, the Wraths just tend to be too slow, and like you have so many resilient threats to include like Gideon, and that's kind of why you saw me play Hero Round, because I'm like, if they T-Del me, I want them to like T-Del me, be tapped out, and then play the Gideon, and then just be like, what are you going to do about this? Like, you have the Heroes downfall it, and if you have that, cool, but then you're tapped out and I play more creatures, and you got to deal with them again. So I just think it's a very challenging matchup for Control to beat a good Death and Taxes list in this format. That's also why I kind of think Control is just bad. I played it. I just put a matchup of Control, of a kind of a mishmash of white-based 4-color Control deck, and it went 2-1. It did pretty well. It did better than I thought it would, but it was very fun to play. It was a lot more fun to play than this was. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, if I want a clean sweep and I see this deck's open, I'm going to take it because I think this deck is a lot better than anyone gives it credit for. So, again, this is like, I don't know, like, I probably won half these cubes on the back of white-black Death and Taxes. And maybe that says something about my ability to play the game. I don't know, or my ability to draft this format. But I also think it may say that this deck is probably pretty decent as well. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed, and take care now.